Hi everyone, Sarah here, the English coach. And in this video, I'm going to share a tool which will help you to not only develop your English for working in the UK, but also to help you find your own authentic voice in English. So let's get started. The tool I'd like to share with you is the Real You Learning Cycle. Find your authentic voice in English. Why is this important? Well, when we feel ourselves in English, we feel more confident. But also, when we feel more confident, we're better able to connect with people. And this is the key to success in all areas of your life in the UK. Have you had any of the below thoughts? You're in a situation, maybe in a meeting, but you can't find the words to express yourself. Or maybe you feel you're making lots of mistakes or that someone doesn't understand you. Or maybe you just worry that they think your English is very bad, which is probably not the case. However, with this learning cycle, it will help you to build your English so you're prepared for all the situations in your life. The Real You learning cycle has 5 steps: reflect, explore, analyze, learn, and use. And then we go back to reflect again, because learning is continuously developing. We can always develop and do better. So this cycle helps you to do that. The first stage is to reflect. Get yourself a journal and reflect on where you are right now in terms of your English skills. Think about what you do well and areas that you need to improve. To make it more useful, think about the context where you need to speak English, maybe in a work meeting or a conversation with a friend. What situations do you need to use English? And then for each of those, identify your strengths, what you do really well already, and acknowledge how much you know already, and also areas you need to improve. Where are your language gaps? So let's look at this example. The context is a work meeting. Strengths, they're great at asking questions and answering familiar questions. However, they need to work on interrupting politely, explaining technical concepts, answering difficult questions, having more professional language for meetings, and also phrasal verbs for meetings. The next step is to explore and find real life examples of English being used in those contexts. So we can look at the context, but also the topic. So let's take that example of meetings. You could find examples of real life meetings. Maybe you have Zoom calls and you can listen back to recordings of your meetings, or you can just notice language and phrases that your colleagues use. Maybe you can find videos of meetings online, or you can use AI. Ask AI to write a script of a meeting in the UK. This will give you a really good idea of how people use language in meetings in the UK. Next, you can find examples of topic-related vocabulary. So imagine that you work in HR. You could read more blog posts about HR, which will help you to build your vocabulary. You could listen to HR podcasts. Again, this will help you to learn appropriate vocabulary. Finding these real life examples is key to really expressing yourself clearly. Next, we've got our examples. Now we need to analyze our examples. Depending on your needs, there's lots of things to think about. But first, structure. What do they say first, second, third? What grammar structures do they use? What vocabulary and phrases do they use? For example, to interrupt people in a meeting. Listen to the examples as well. What about the pace? When do they pause? How is their intonation? When does their voice go up and when does it go down? Your analysis will be based on your needs. So if you're just looking for professional vocabulary, note that down. But note down the phrases that you want to start using. You don't have to use everything. Note down what you want to use, which takes us to the next step, which is to learn. So we've got some new phrases we want to use. Now we need to memorize it. Depending on the way that you learn, you might have different preferences. You might want to use an app to help you learn, but I would definitely recommend writing down these new phrases in sentences that you could use yourself in a meeting. You could write the script of the meeting and say it out loud. This is a really important step. Learning is not just about memorizing, it's about practicing and using that language, using it by yourself. Record yourself, listen back, notice your mistakes, and work on improving. And the final step is to use the language. And this time, I mean, use it in real life situations. So if you're working on your language for meetings, use it in a real meeting. But remember, this isn't practice time. You don't need to worry about making mistakes or creating the perfect sentence. We do that in the learning stage and the practice stage. When you're using it in real life, focus on your message because that's what people want to hear. And then afterwards, we can go back to the reflections. And this is when you can think about, okay, in that last meeting, what did I do well? What did I struggle to explain? What do I need to work on next? And as you can see, if we apply this cycle, we can develop our language quite quickly in a really focused way. So why does this learning cycle work? Well, it's designed to be brain friendly. It hacks into how our brain learns naturally. It's also context specific. So we're looking at real life examples of how language is used in the UK. So we know that the language we use will work and be understood and be appropriate. And finally, it's personalized. You can focus on exactly what you need, the language that you need, and you can choose to learn phrases that you want to start using. You don't have to pretend to be someone else. You're developing your voice in English. So, how can you get started today? Well, choose one context to work on. Is that meetings? Is it presentations? Set aside time each day to work on each step of this cycle. Keep a journal to track your progress. When you reflect, write it down. Not only is it great in the moment, but also you can look back and notice how far you've come and all the progress that you've made. And this can help you to stay motivated to keep going. And when you do use language, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are how we truly learn. I know most things that stay with me longer are the things that I used to get wrong and made a mistake. But correcting that mistake helped me to learn more effectively. And the final tip is enjoy. Enjoy this process. Be curious about the language that people use. This will help the process to be a lot more enjoyable. And if you want more guidance and practice, I can help you in two ways. We have the English Café VIP Club, where you can develop fluency, vocabulary, and discussion skills so you have the confidence to discuss anything with anyone. And I take you through this process every week. Or one-to-one neurolanguage coaching. So I specialize in helping people to develop their communication skills for business or work in the UK. And again, we use this process. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below this video, or you can always send me an email. Let me know what you think of the Real You learning cycle, and let's do this.